And hello everyone, welcome to the Commander's Q&A, your not-so-weekly discussion, question-answers show with me, Commander Cockings. Today we are, well, first of all, as I've done in multiple shows, I am wearing something different each time, and this week you might recognise, hopefully you would, it's my John Crichton Farscape jacket. Part of my Farscape costume, which I wear to conventions occasionally. I think it looks pretty snazzy, and so I thought it'd be a little bit of Farscape today, but this episode is sponsored by two amazing people. First of all, the RPG group, the USS Rhaegar, the Forgotten Frontier. You might have seen our video talking about them in the Nova class episode, and the fact that I did a video for them which we promoted once or twice. Amazing group of people who do RPG, which is role player game. They've got a crew of this Nova class, the USS Rhaegar, and they are doing episodes exploring the galaxy, all with a sort of like dungeon master, creator sort of type who'll puppet mastering it all, but in such a really interesting and full way. It's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of like, a video game, but interactive. And if you want to get involved or just check out what's happening, then go to www.ussrhaegar.com and check out some animations I made for them, because it was a lot of fun and it's a great project, really passionate people. But this episode is also sponsored by Wrath of Gems. It is a mobile game, a really fun mobile game, which takes you across several Star Trek eras, several Star Trek people, and here is the game on my mobile device. It is a fun game with story, events, and challenges. You can play the original series or TNG, and I've played quite a lot of it now, and it's pretty fun. It's got lots of different varieties of gameplay. Press fun buttons and then pick crew members. You have an interesting mission. There's awesome art style. You level up characters, level up your ships, you fight, and it's just a lot of fun. And this is a sponsored Commander's Q&A, so thank you very much for sponsoring this show, and we've got a video coming out very soon, a let's play about the game, so you can see what it is, and hopefully go check it out. It's free, it's fun, and it's Trek, and it's actually pretty clever. The art style is pretty amazing, so definitely worth checking out, guys, so do. And on to the questions. So this is from, we started last time, the Commander's Q&A, which was the third one, new uniforms. So we're going to continue from that, go all the way through questions and up to the last one. Hopefully answer every single question in this one long video. So, first question from George Bohill. Very long question. But the crux of it is, should the Federation have used projectile weapons against the Borg, as we saw them use in First Contact on the holodeck? And I think that would be a great idea. It's strange that the Borg don't remember how to adapt to, phase weapons in between episodes of movies. You would think it'd be a, instant hive reaction. Okay, this is the phaser that we need to defend against. Done. And so even if their personal shield can adapt against projectile weapons, which are causing kinetic damage ripping through them, which I'm sure would be potentially harder to stop, given a force field needs. I'm not sure. But it'd be a great idea just to give another style of weapon, because straight away you've got, different styles of bullets, because it's not going to be a case of the Borg can adapt against kinetic damage. It's going to be how much force, how much power, how much of that actual energy is being dissipated into them. So you start with a 33, you go to 44, you go use a 9mm, use a 45, use a 50 cal. I mean, imagine if you had an officer with each of those guns. You've got another line of defense, which the Borg are sort of continuously coming at you. It's not going to be too effective. It might give you that time you need to save the Federation. So I think definitely needs to be something that the Federation should have considered, and using things like the TR-116. Come on, guys. Beam stuff through things, and lots of stuff they didn't use. I'm sure there's another show we can see more to fight against the Borg if they appear, because they're going to appear again at some point, aren't they? We know. Next question is from Analysis of Sci-Fi. What other franchises are you a fan of? Looking at my room, I can see lots of DVDs and things. Well, Star Trek, Stargate, Battlestar Galactica, Farscape, Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, Digimon, don't know, I'm going to those. Once Upon a Time, Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Castle. Just started watching Babylon 5, it's pretty good. I watched Sliders, that was fun. I liked Terra Nova when it was out. Whole mass of things. I'm pretty open to all sorts of shows and sci-fi, and I've pretty much seen every sci-fi at this point. Pretty much. There's not really any I haven't seen. Even a bit of Space 1999 is fun. So yeah, lots of them. And as to going to conventions for so many years, I've met all of these people. So I've met Admiral Adama and all those other people from other different. Oh, and Firefly, obviously. Nathan Fillion. I met Nathan Fillion. So big fan of lots of franchises, and pretty overall in the sci-fi realm is me. Next question is from Stuart Lynn Sexton's Frontier Zone Books. Or his real name is Stuart Lynn Sexton, and he gives this whole clarification. But I'm going straight to his question, which is, what is your favourite tricord design? Mine is Star Trek 3, the Search for Spock version, because it's a logical progression from TOS. Thank you for your time. My favourite tricorder, I think, is pretty easily the Voyager one, the Voyager Flip, which I do actually have a hero version with lights and sounds somewhere. Really great design. It's sleek. It's not too sleek. It's very functional. It's got all the buttons. It's a very nice continuing evolution development from the pretty damn blocky and rugged, I suppose, early TNG ones. And it's not yet as advanced as the Relativity ultra sleek 29th century version. I think the Voyager one is a nice in between, and while I like TOS for its classicness, it's just not advanced enough. It doesn't do enough things. I mean, I think Voyager is the pinnacle for a lot of things in terms of technology, and I think that tricorder is just the best overall. But thank you for the question. Another question from Samuel McIntosh. Hey there, what ship or ships from Stowe think would do well as a TV hero ship or feature in a movie? Similarly, what canon ships would you want to appear in Stowe? Are there not any canon ships that haven't appeared in Stowe? They're pretty good at getting everything. I think they probably all appeared, so I always like Prometheus. From Stowe, I like Enterprise F. I think it's a great looking ship. I don't know if it's necessarily got the Enterprise-ness to it, but I think as a ship design, it's a great design, and I would love to see that flying. And hopefully in Trekyards we'll have that ship, and I can do some great renders of it with some canon ships and show you how that might feel if it wasn't in a canon scene. But Enterprise F would be a good one. And the Manticore design by Thomas Moreau is a great design. Love to see that fully done. Tobias Richter could go over it in its full detail and we could see it. But that'd be great. And from Lieutenant Swede Perster, greetings sir, I hope you and Captain Foley keep up the good work. Thank you, because I'm. My question is, if the UNSC from Halo were incorporated into Starfleet post-TNG, how they fare against Starfleet's enemies? Great question. Love the UNSC's ships from Halo. Just love Halo in general. I think Halo's an interesting one because they sort of get beaten up by the Covenant quite dramatically, so the technology level isn't as big as you'd think, but I think the big cannons they've got, I forgot what they're called, those I think will do some significant damage, especially the big ships like the Halion class or the Earth-based turrets. I think those would probably rip through other ships in the Trek universe, especially ones that don't have the strongest shield output, or even possibly through that. And if you have multiple shots, then they'd rip through anything. I think where Halo would really have a disadvantage is they have no shields, they have armor. Now, while I don't know how strong the armor is, we can see in BSG they can take nukes, which are very powerful weapons even in Star Trek, or at least good nukes are, and survive a couple without too much long-term damage. So I think armor in the right way, I suppose, could do the job, but shields are going to be so effective. I think the UNSC would do well against a lot of ships, but I think only in a first strike. They come out of their hyperspace. What's it called? Slip space? No, it's called I don't know. They come out of their FTL. They let loose on cannons, rip through an enemy ship, but as soon as that counterattack comes, I don't think they'd stand up much of a chance. But I think maybe it's Klingons. Well, that said, these cannons, the Halo ones, they need precise targeting, and they don't have. They fire very, very fast. I think mass driver cannons, but they can't maneuver. So if the shots are so quick that, I think a Burrell could probably easily outrun it, but maybe a Vorchar or Negvar might not be maneuverable enough, or I guess unless you'd full impulse or something. So I think first wave really great, but as the battle moved on, firing photons and phasers and disruptors and multiple ships, I think most Federation or most Starfleet races would do them pretty bad. Question from Blood Raven, USS Defiant from DS9 versus a fully upgraded Normandy SR2 from Mass Effect series. Who would have the advantage? And SatQuest said, Mass Effect Universe has enough power to go against most Fed ships. I would agree the Defiant is a very heavily armoured, both in weapon and even shield output, because it can take a lot of hits, and it's a blade of armour. The Normandy is not a battleship, it's sort of scout, frigate, well armed for its class, but not anything near the strength. Maneuverability, it's probably got more maneuverability, but that won't mean much when they've got targeted phaser arrays for the Defiant, and as soon as they start hitting, it's being caused damage. And if it can get any spread of pulse phases off, I don't think Normandy would even survive a hit. So pretty sure the Defiant would win. Overall, Star Trek's a quite a powerful show, species, universe compared to other shows, just for the pure amount of power and also defensive systems they have. Next question from Jesus, great show commander, thank you. If you were the final approver of any Star Trek project and got to direct changes to a specific design or specific film or episode, which ship would you go after, or which ship would you alter, sorry, and how would you alter it? Wow, great question. I would love to have seen the NX refit. That would have been a great one, maybe for the final season. That I would have altered and made that, and maybe, you know, see a post refit where they, you know, make the interior very much more TOS. I'd love to see that. You know, what would the true next step, next gen TOS be? I think would be pretty cool. That is a difficult one. I would like to see some of the original concepts for the Voyager and for the Enterprise E. That'd be fun to see. Maybe as, you know, prototype version or unused concept. I think for the most part, all the hero ships, you know, I think they've been done so well that there's not many things I would change. And I'm very much a stickler for continuity, and, you know, this is what it's meant to be, and therefore that's the feeling you have for it, if that makes sense. So I'm very much in the mindset of the universe. So saying, how could you improve Voyager? Well, without really breaking it down and taking it to its roots. Like, that is Voyager, that is the Intrepid. So difficult to say, but I would love to have seen, like I say, an NX post refit. I definitely would love to see more of the Enterprise B and how those interiors changed. Oh, and definitely would love to have seen the Andrew Probert Ambassador concept in somewhere in Trek. And that's why it's such a lot of fun to make the episode with Andrew, to really get to render out the ship. Thanks to Michael Wiley for the amazing model, to actually see it move in 3D and do some fun things. That was a great thing for me, because I love the design. And it's again up there, although again you can't see it because of the framing, but I do have every ship pretty much up here. Yep. Another question from Wake Roberts. Hello, Commander. Hello. My question for this week: who do you think was the most skilled Star Trek engineer? Another great episode, and keep the good work, and thanks for responding. Most skilled engineer, that's a difficult one, because as technology improves, they get more and more advanced. You know, if you did throw Scotty into TNG, he was a little bit out of his depth, So it's for that time. I mean, if a skilled engineer that can work on a, you know, one of the first cars, most skilled engineer of that time is nothing compared to a fighter pilot engineer now. So that's very. I think if you think in context, I would still say LaForge is hugely talented, because he did everything without a worry, without without concern. Scotty obviously played the card of, oh, you know, it'll take 6 weeks, but I'll do it to you in a day. You know, that sort of miracle worker. That's a little bit more ego, I think, but in such a characterful way. Like, it was part of his charm. O'Brien was kind of like the everyman engineer, and I think he worked a little harder. Like, LaForge is very much delegate off to people, which he should do, because he runs you know, the flagship's engineering staff. Whereas O'Brien always got the sense he would do most things himself if he could, sort of thing. Torres is fine. I mean, she's good. And Trip, again, very basic technology. He would really suffer. You threw him into the Enterprise E, you know, like, wow, this is interesting tech. Isolinia chips, what? I think they're all skilled in their own way. They're on the flagships, apart from obviously O'Brien and Torres. But yeah, I think probably LaForge, although I think in his day, probably Scotty. I think he really got it, he really understood it. But that said, again, and I watched occasional TNG episodes, LaForge always wanted to push, you know, in the script, in the episodes, he wanted to push the ship to be better and better. So, even if it's 0.1, I don't know if Scotty ever tried to, you know, re-engineer the warp scale in terms of, you know, what his ship can do and, you know, reinvent the wheel. I don't know if he ever wanted to do that rather than just keep it operational. So I think my gut says LaForge. Question from Zach Nikoteth. Here's a question for you. Do you have any good information on the upcoming 2017 season of Star Trek? If not, then speculate. What do you think it'll look like? We have no idea. There's little rumours, but rumours are only rumours, and you can only report on them so much. We did an episode on what we thought was a bigger rumour I mean, I think it'll be new, it'll be different, it'll either be the future or it'll be in one of the eras. I love the idea of it being a post Star Trek 6. I don't like those people who say that's a prequel because, Star Trek 6 was a prequel to TNG then, but it was made after, in terms of, after the series has started. I mean, the universe is so broad that nothing is specifically a prequel if it doesn't link to it. So this show would be a sequel to Star Trek 6. It's not a prequel to Generations or a prequel to, yes, there's Enterprise C. That's not what it means. It's a sequel to TOS, a sequel to Enterprise. It's not a prequel to First Contact, unless it's specifically a prequel to First Contact, which was Regeneration. Enterprise, which actually a sequel to First Contact, even though it was in a prequel format. So I would love to see in that timeline, or in the future, or even just 20 years. I think you need one generational gap, because then you can push everything. You can redefine the political landscape. With larger continuity of a season, you can say, right, we think the Romulans are going to have a mass political upheaval. They're going to start from something and then end somewhere else, and that'll be a big thing, and that'll change the landscape. That would be great, but we won't know until we see it. Thanks for the question. Mark Lawrence, maybe I'll have to sponsor an episode beyond my Patreon contribution. Thanks for Patreon contribution. We're very much reliant on that, and feel free to sponsor an episode. Thanks for reply to caught me off guard as I was repairing a custom keypad for a local business and heard my name. Mark Lawrence. There you go. Thanks for the non-question. That's all right. From Chris Clark, what do you guys think of a Doctor Who Enterprise crossover episode? What would it be like? As there was a crossover planned for season 5, series 5 Enterprise, and if it happened, the script of it would have been Daleks invading the Trek universe. That sounds unlikely, although I'm interested in the possibility. Okay, cool. Well, Enterprise season 5 would have been, first or second season of Doctor Who, which means it wouldn't have been Russell T Davis. It would have been the next. No, it wasn't Russell Davis. So it would have been Russell T Davis. Did he specifically want that? Well, we've seen a crossover, obviously, in the comics, the TOS Doctor Who, I think 4th Doctor with the Cybermen, which I haven't read, but it looked fun, sort of. It's weird, because the Doctor should theoretically be able to get to the Star Trek universe because, crossing timelines, crossing parallel universes, that I'm not against, but once you have such a ship and such a person with so much knowledge of the universe, I don't know, it depends which Doctor. I think Tennant would probably do a great job of it, but probably Tennant's fun would completely outdo any energy on Enterprise, because it's such a different, well, at the time it's such a different show, especially since Enterprise got darker and darker, and Daleks in the Star Trek universe would be pitiful, absolutely pitiful. I mean, any race could defeat them. I mean, they're so boring in that universe. So I think it would be more a case of TARDIS crashes, and then they have a blast with each other. I don't know. Enterprise is a weird one to pick. I guess because it's more, well, at the time, obviously, and connected to our time, because it's closer. Probably would have been interesting, but I don't know if I would want those to really be connected. Yeah. Question from Camilo Alamin, or Mellotron. What advice would you have for someone who'd like to create their own starship, who doesn't know how to draw or work a computer? I've had a basic design in my head for a while, and I'm having the hardest time trying to make it reality. Well, I don't know how to draw or build in 3D either. I know how to animate in 3D and create scenes and shots and pictures. I don't know how to build either, so my knowledge in that is mega limited, and all I would say is keep sketching, try and get the shapes out, try and refine on it, and that's really it. Or ask, well, I think if you can create a basic shape, you might be able to find one of our amazing Trekyards fans to help you make a better design. Sean Turinjo, who's a great artist, you can possibly contact him and try and do some basic sketches, and then he might be able to help you with creating a more full sketch and try and create that, bring that vision that you've had into reality. But I also want to try and design some stuff, although I'm, again, pretty bad. I always, when I draw something, I always get the proportions off. So I draw certain details and suddenly, wow, this engine is now twice as big even though it should be smarter. That happens all the time, so it makes my drawing a little bit difficult. Dean Lewis, Commander 543. Yep, that's an in-joke, I suppose. I thought I'd donate to a Patreon page, so I ran over there to give and see if it was possible or not possible to make a single donation. I did actually reply to that in the message, but yeah, Patreon is a monthly donation scheme you know, it's like a Netflix or a Hulu or something to help us create regular content. If you want to donate, do go to our website, www.trekyards.com, click that donate button, and that'll go directly to our joint PayPal, which is towards expenses and things, if you need to buy hard drives or kit or anything, and the Patreon goes directly towards our bills, our rent, our water, things that are needed to pay for life, which gives us the time to money to not need a job to be able to work on the show, because I work on the show 7 days a week, and there's bills. And so if you want the show to be full time, if you want the show to continue to come out the quality it does with the studio models and the guests and the pristine quality it takes, 12-15 hours per show, then it needs to be full time, which needs to be financed, and you can't finance without jobs. That's why fan support is so important. And if we want to actually keep the show going, we need to keep raising more and more on Patreon and YouTube. And when the store comes up, obviously you can buy things on that, but just donations are so important. But thank you for the question. Jason Aldridge, just your Stargate film, absolutely rad, great job, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much. That was a long time ago now, I think 2011, 2012. Very early, it was my first big project. You can search on YouTube. It's Stargate Universe Distant Hope. It's a prequel sequel to the first episode of Universe, telling the story of a new character, Major Liam Hunt, as he gets brought into this world, is included in what happens in the pilot episode, but then also has his own story and his own character arc, or shorter arc, but is very much filmed in the style of Stargate Universe, the tone of Stargate Universe, being very alone, and a combination of green screen, digital sets, integrating characters into existing footage and physical sets. So it was a fun project, and Temper Anomaly will blow it away, but that is hopefully coming out soon. But thank you for the question. SideQuest, as always, you're very useful with information, and he said, I've done a firepower analysis of Star Trek ships, but Stargate has no rhyme or reason. They say a Gould mothership has a firepower of 200 megatons and can vaporize Cheyenne Mountain, but we don't see the firepower when they do attack Earth all 3 times. Very true. Stargate is a weird one, and I think, well, motherships only got less powerful as time went on, even though they technically upgraded with Anubis' ancient knowledge. Star Trek is good with continuity. Most other shows aren't. Even Star Wars is a little bit odd in their continuity. They try, but it's all over the place a little bit. Stargate, I would really just compare it to itself, and sort of the extremes with other universes. Like, I think the Asgard beam is far superior to a phaser beam, and I think it would do massive damage and probably beat most conventional laser weapons in Star Trek, just because the Asgard are a hugely powerful race. They can cross galaxies. Star Trek cannot cross galaxies. Even it takes 70 years to get across our galaxy, in Voyager. So there are some technological leaps that Stargate absolutely blow everything out of the water, and there are some that really don't. And I think Gould, cannons are very similar to disruptors. Railguns are just bullets, basically. So those are very simple. I think shields are a bit more difficult to work out, but again, if it's based on Asgard tech or ancient tech, I think it's probably more powerful than a lot of Star Trek stuff. Drones pass through shields, and then once you pass through a shield, whenever we see in Star Trek anything, shields are down. Star Trek 2, the damage that can be caused very, very quickly is, huge, hours instead of days sort of thing. Star Trek 2 joke there, and I think that drones and ancient warship, the Aurora, would come in and just annihilate most ships. Borg cubes have been exceptional, though, again, just tunnel through the ship and blow up the vinculum. You can't adapt against going through shields for a bit, and once you've tried, once you've got to that vinculum, I don't think it could send off a signal to the Borg collective, and you can fire enough drones to do it for multiple ships. And once you've done the best route, you can do it simpler with less drones. I mean, yeah, fun universes, and I think we'd love to do a versus thing at some point, but it takes long enough to do the actual show itself. The next question is from John Redican. Dream crossover battle between ships from different franchises. Who would you be fighting and who would win? It's very much linked to SideQuest, and I would love to see a Daedalus, the X-304 Daedalus from Stargate, which has railguns, has nukes, has Hornets. You could theorize has the Horizon weapons platform as well, Asgard shields and beam weapons. I'd love to see that fight the Enterprise. See how long shields the Enterprise could last. Which Enterprise, I suppose. The Connie would be a fun one to see how long shields would last for one, and then what torpedoes could do against the other. If you go broad, We did the episode on the NSCA Protector, and actually it's pretty well armed, and it's a bigger ship than you think by a long way. I'd love to see how that universe squares up against Star Trek or Star Wars. I don't know how much. That's what I'd love to see. And obviously, Star Wars, there's those great memes, that the Enterprise D comes out of warp, sees a Star Destroyer, it starts firing everything, and Picard says how quaint, and it fires one torpedo and it blows up. Because Star Wars has deflector shields, which are nothing compared to torpedoes or phasers, and the power output for quantum is nothing. I'd love to see that battle, and really see if that confrontation is really as one-sided as you think. It'd be interesting. Jack Von Kalen. I like your segment, Commander, but it really does deserve a more robust title. After all, you're a Trekyards executive officer. I am, and Trekyards had agreed. And this just Trekyards XO's question time. May sound more official, and Oswald promised question time. Very true. Again, I like the name. I think we are still working on a name. I think from next episode onwards, I might throw out different names and see which one the fans love. But for the moment, this is a difficult show to find time for, because I've take so much time to actually edit the main episodes, and then spend 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes out, and then do another 30, 40 minutes editing it. It takes a while. So hence there's only a couple. But next time I think I'll try and change up the name, even just as internal to the episode. And that is it for the questions for a new uniform, the Commander's Q&A. But now I'm going to the next Commander's Q&A, because I've got a couple to do. So, first question is, interesting questions and answers. Thank you, Gary Schlowly. But then the actual first question is from Camilo Almian, or Mellotron. Who would win a fist fight, Worf from Star Trek or Tilk from Stargate? Great question. I think Worf, probably. Tilk is obviously humanoid, or human, with added enhanced strength from symbiote. Now, symbiote is tapping and giving a bit more juice. It's not, 50% more. It's not revolutionary stronger. Whereas a Klingon is a different race. They have, more ribs. They have a stronger disposition. They have a better tolerance of pain, I believe. You can see from the episodes the pain sticks. So I think in a fist fight, Worf could take... come on, Worf against the Jem'Hadar. He fought with broken ribs for days and days. Tilk, he's so tired at the end of a fight with Ronan. And that's just a very strong man. So I think Tilk would give a good fight for the first bit. And Worf would be like, wow, he's strong. And he's resilient, but he's not that strong. He's not that resilient. So I think Worf would win, not easily, but it'd be a good fight. And I think Tilk would respect him, and I think Worf would respect Tilk. But I think Worf has the overall advantage for that. Vortan63. Who would be your Magnificent Seven for an away team? And then John Redican replies, saying, why take 7? Data can deal with pretty much everything all by himself most of the time, so where's the need to risk additional personnel? True, but the question is fun. Maybe you want to have a camping trip, you need 7. So 7. Okay, Data, obviously. Kirk, and then if we need McCoy and Spock, I think would be fun. 7 of 9, always useful. Let's have a think. Doctor, EMH Mark 1 would be fun. Or useful. I'm pretty much going for useful here again. So I have one more. Who would be a fun guy? Maybe Paris. Maybe Kim. I've hung out with Garrett Wang a couple of times. He's a fun guy, and Harry Kim's a lot of him. So maybe him. Or maybe Scotty, because he would bring them booze. The green. I think Scotty. Yeah, there you go. That's my Magnificent 7, and we could pretty much solve any problem, I think. Or let Data solve it, and we get drunk. Beautiful. Brett Matrusii, which of the Star Trek films were your favourite and why? And then Robert Hayes said I would check their top 10 movies on movies. So I'm going to quickly go onto YouTube and check what I said for my favourite movie, because it does change on occasion. Movies. And what did I say was my number 1? I believe it's going to be Wrath of Khan, with First Contact number 2, Voyage Home number 3. Ooh, I was mostly right of myself. My top 5, in the top 10, because obviously we're joint top 5, top 10. My number 1 is Wrath of Khan. My number 2 is First Contact. My number 3 is Undiscovered Country. Number 4 is Search for Spock. And Voyage Home. And my number 5 is Search for Spock. And that was my top 5, because I think Wrath of Khan is the overall best film in both story, cinematography, acting, just iconic. First Contact, I think, is a close second. Doesn't have the same... it has some really, really strong bits, but lets it down in other bits. And then the CG is pretty good. The acting is really good. The Borg are really, really well done. Would have fixed a couple of things with it. Wrath of Khan, I don't think I'd change anything, which I think is a hell of an impressive thing to say. Yeah, there probably isn't a single thing I'd change in Wrath of Khan. Yeah. Nice. Well done, Wrath of Khan. I've never thought of it that way. We should do a podcast at some point. How would you fix certain movies? That could be a good podcast. From Coyote, with a great image. Is that from looks like from Starship Troopers, the thumbnail. But he says, I would love to see the new Star Trek be similar to Destiny Trilogy, Typhon Pact books, which I believe are the Titan books, or don't. The political tension and what we learn about the Breen and all members of the Pact is great. To be honest, it'd be okay if it was focused around the book, or any of the books, series that are post-TNG. And then Wayne Payer, Walter Payne says that'd be cool, but too cerebral for today's viewers, although you've got shows like House of Cards, Breaking Bad, and Game of Thrones that are a bit more cerebral, or at least complicated. I don't think basing on any books is a good idea at this point, just because then you're relying on anything. I think you want to start fresh, you want to start new, or start with a good concept, a simple concept, and go from there. You probably, once you have that established, if it's an anthology show, then a concept of a book, take that book, strip out the stuff that doesn't make sense, that wouldn't work in whatever new continuity they're creating, or expanding on, shall I say, and then take a good idea and evolve it. That's a good idea. But let the books be the books. I'm annoyed that Star Wars ignored the expanded universe, completely chopped up and threw it away. But they've kept some element, and there's rumours that Grand Admiral Thrawn is coming in, which would be amazing. So books are good in their own right. I've read a lot of different Star Trek books. A lot of them are really good. I would love to see the William Shatner novels created in motion pictures with him as younger Kirk would be great. And just the dimensionality and the how the universes or the timelines combined is really great in that, and bringing Kirk back was awesome. I'd love to have seen that. Maybe someday. Maybe animated. Make it animated, guys. Yeah, there you go. Next is from Captain Lakiwa. Gasps. You haven't designed your own ship. I've got some ideas. I would love to be able to draw properly, like Sean, like anyone else that has talent. Yeah, I mean, I'm very much a post-TNG sort of guy. I'd love to design something else. But I always think that my designs would be influenced, on another ship. And I don't want to be too kit-bashy. There's some amazing creative designs out there. And there's those designs like the Polaris, again by Michael Wiley, that push the envelope in just the right way, in just the right amount, that it becomes an original, totally canonical feeling ship. And that's the sort of ship I love. Other ships are just a kit bash. I say just, I love kit bashes. But the point of creating a new ship is to create a new ship. And you always got to think function first. And while the function of a kit bash a lot of the time is we've got these parts, let's make it into a new usable form, that's not as creative as it could, shoulda, or woulda be. And I would love to see myself really delve into what a new Trek ship can be. I know we've had our own original project, which we had on a little while ago. We very much thought of a function for a ship, and then the design was built around that. And that was really fun. It really made the ship feel more real. And so I've got an idea for a ship and a station that I'd like to do at some point. And I'm sure I've got CG people in the team that'd love to help me out with that. So maybe someday, and hopefully someday, after Denver maybe. And a question from Trekyards. Now, since I also have access to the Trekyards account, and I didn't ask this, I'm assuming it's one of my setup questions by the one and only Captain Foley. How is it being Commander Foley's first officer? Is he a slave driver? Is he fair? Is he smart? Yes, no, and no. Very much no, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we're a great team. I mean, I think if you look at the first officers of the Star Trek universe, it's never so much, command officer, subordinate officer. To be a first officer, you almost have to get picked for that, and a lot of the time that's based on either amazing chemistry or I feel like maybe some chemistry, or being forced together because of situation in Voyager. And I guess DS9 as well. And I guess Enterprise as well. Yeah, he's great. And I think my point is that first officers are very much friends, compadres, and at a moment's notice they take command and they become acting captain pretty much on the other shift. So I think our rapport, our relationship, the captains very much work in tandem, take charge in different respects. Commander Riker, slip of the tongue there. He was in charge of crew assignments and things, and it's sort of a laborious task. That's a big thing to be in command of, whereas the captain was in command of the higher up things. And I think Captain Foley, we share a lot of different tasks, but also specialise in lots of different things. So I have certain guests that we have on the show that I communicate with almost exclusively, and Stuart has some that he speaks with. So we have a good rapport. But eventually I will be captain and have my own ship. But I'm sure then Stuart will use some sort of time travel device to go back in time and stop me, and then then I won't be captain, and then has that already happened? Do you think? Was I already promoted and then he took my command? Maybe in Sebron 3 at that instant when I had that great idea and then I came to the bridge and then there was the idea was already being happened. Maybe the captain stole my idea from the future, changed history, so I'd have to be his commander still. Wow, things are getting deeper on Trekyards. If you are a time agent, either Daniels or Captain Braxton, not Branston. Richard Branson. If you know of any temporal incursions in the Trekyards timeline, let me know. Email trekyards@hotmail.com and let me know if time has been changed and if you want to help me to fix the timeline so I can become captain, or should again become captain. Let me know. Oh, there's 2 more from Trekyards. Heard it. How would you describe the days where we just get to kick back and chat, film a few top 10s, come up with ideas? I look forward to those days. We need to meet in person one day and go out for a beer. Great job on the honest Q&A, by the way. Love hearing your insights on things in this format. Stop making me look bad, lol. Okay, I'm done torturing you for now. There's another one. There's another question, so you're not done torturing me. But the days, the chill days that we just film top 10s, mission briefings. I mean, those are great days when we just get to hang out. Because there's so much in between the filming sessions that we just get to hang out, chat, enjoy. You know, I even find just the organising fun. You know, we say, okay, let's try and do this, let's try and do that, and we, you know, part of making sure this is the creativity. It's having that drive to keep wanting to create something new, and while some of the shows we're doing because you guys want them specifically, so that's not so much our favourite ships. A lot of the time it's our personal. We have a lot of interest in this ship, like the Dauntless for me. I have a lot of love for that ship, and so doing the episode, I had a lot of passion, a lot of interest, and so planning that and doing that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to those days. They're a lot of fun, and absolutely, well, we're going to meet very soon. I don't think we had a Denver plan at this point, so we're going to meet very soon in Denver, or in LA, sorry, for our Trekyards Mission America, which has been funded, guys, 108%, I believe, at this point, which is incredible. There's still a few days to go, so please go and support us, because now we've reached our goal. So now it's for you, if you want to help us reach more of our goal, you know, help us make it even easier, have the money to go to a couple of extra places we've got ideas for, you know, basically for the petrol, for the hotel rooms, whatever. Do some extra fun things to make great videos for you, because at the end of the day, Trekyards is more than just a show, I think, at this point. You know, Trekyards is a community on Facebook, absolutely, but it's also it's more than just a show, it's a channel. It's like I say, it's a community. It's, you know, check out what's on the Trekyards channel. We are the Trekyards brand. We're the team Trekyards, you know, Captain Foley and Commander Cockings, and our amazing modelling team, our amazing Facebook team, our amazing, you know, multiple people that help. That, you know, we've really expanded actually in the last few months. You know, obviously we make the content and they help us do a lot of other things. You know, and I think we'll probably talk about when we get this new website out. We're going to really make an effort to support our friends and give them credit, because, you know, a lot of you, you know, this week we had an episode that reached 3,000 views in a couple of days. That's incredible. 3,000 people checked out our content, and, you know, popular videos get that easily. Less popular ones don't. But we always get a couple of thousand people watching every episode, and for a lot of you, this is your regular Trek TV, and that's amazing. And so we want to support people who support us, because we are part of the community, and we think we are creating part of the community, and yeah, Trekyards is fun. Oh yeah, last question. Yes, you are correct. The great bird is the largest version of bird of prey. You learn quickly, my young Padawan. Hey, I remember some things. You teach me too. It's all good. Brian Grinder asks, outside of Trek, what's your favourite sci-fi show? In terms of actual show quality, BSG, I think, is the best in terms of CG, in terms of design, in terms of story, in terms of acting, in terms of feel. That is overall, as a package, while it has some serious dips in season 4 and some other bits, I think as an overall package it's very strong. I think Stargate, the franchise, both SG-1, Atlantis and Universe as a franchise, is my second favourite franchise, just because it's so funny, it's so interesting, it's so diverse. Atlantis is an incredible show. I mean, I've got multiple costumes, which you'll see in later Commander Q&As. Farscape is incredible too. but didn't go on long enough. Hope they do another movie. But yeah, I think Stargate is my second favourite sci-fi franchise. Star Wars is a little bit further down the line just because it doesn't take itself... You know what I mean? It's continuity. There's not as much continuity. Well, there is, but it doesn't have that rich level. In Star Wars, how does a hyperdrive work? It just does. How does a Star Trek warp drive work? Oh, Rick worked out how. Mike and Denise worked out how. Gene even worked out how. Everyone. RV-R121, short version. Galaxy class best ever. Great ship. Really, really great ship. Galvers. The question: what corps commander is part of? Blue shirt, yellow shirt, red shirt. Great idea. Whenever I play Star Trek games, I'm always an engineer, so that would be gold. But I think in this context, the amount of organising I do, well, I guess I'm gold in terms of editing, because that's engineering editing. But I think in terms of the actual organisation I do, I'm a TNG red collar, because I'm also commander and the second in command. But yeah, I think command at this point, the amount of stuff we do, the amount of stuff we organise, I think command. I think my nemesis is my nemesis is gold, so I'm engineer, but my TNG is red, so I'm command. It makes sense somewhere. Enterprise H, another ship asking me a question. Same question I had asked Captain Foley. If you could give one special property to the next Starfleet uniform, what would it be? I would give them some form of digital display, maybe, on the wrist. Some sort of access to the ship's computer. Think tricorder, but the right at the bottom there's a linking to the library computer. Just that limited thing. So when you're on an away team, you bring out the tricorder for scanning things. But if you recognise a piece of floor or something, you can just and it links in. Probably the tricorder, probably via space Bluetooth, and you can check out things. So you've got the communicator for long range communication, and for bioscience you've got that for library access, and potentially you've got maybe an isolated chip in your uniform somewhere, just sewn into the lining, or some more advanced circuitry that provides that storage, so your uniform is in itself a storage. Because it'd be great if maybe the uniform could scan the environment just casually, rather than just the comm badge, so that you could give back more vital signs to a ship. We've seen that in other shows, even Aliens, they have the vital signs and things, so that's probably a good idea. But at some point though, I don't want Star Trek to become too advanced. I don't want it to become super holographic. I don't want it to become, the costume, the uniform can metamorphosize into an armor, and then they have shields and they have holographic art. I don't want that. Or especially since we've seen 26th century, we've seen 29th century, we've seen these elements of the future. Relativity has uniforms. They don't appear to have anything special. Appears the operative word, but still, I want to see the Star Trek universe continued and pushed forward. The fact they had touchscreens for so long and they don't have holographic specific displays. I don't need holographic displays. Maybe in some situations where it's very useful, like star chart comes up, or like we saw in 2009, a digital image of a person, a ship comes up and it rotates. That sort of holographic image would be perfect, but I don't need that hyper advanced. I want an evolution of Star Trek technology. Cropsy 2008. Hi Samuel. Hello. Just wanted to get your thoughts on whether you'd possibly consider expanding Trekyards beyond a ship-based format, especially when the new show airs. Well, obviously we have expanded it to a sense. We're doing conventions. We've got the FCD con talks. Those are fully up. The interviews with guests, Trekyards Live. We've got more interview style content with other guests as well. We've got podcasts, we've got top 10. So there is some expanding, but the fact is when the Saturday show takes so long to make that, and I'm the only one producing the content and I can guarantee a certain level of quality, it's kind of difficult to keep making more and more new stuff. But I'll continue. There's a gap on YouTube regarding Trek at the moment, and I feel that when the new show hits and everything Trek becomes big news, when Trekyards could be the go-to place for immediate episode reactions and live talks. Maybe there could even be reviews on new races, and of course new ships, and the latest Trek news discussions. I know it'd be a lot of work involving maybe some new lieutenants and ensigns. I certainly wouldn't want to lose focus on ships that Trekyards have now, but with the following you've built up and the following that the next year brings, Trekyards could be the main hub of all things Trek by the time the pilot airs. I couldn't agree more. We have, started getting into more of the Beyond stuff. We've done the Franklin that came out, I think within a couple of days, the Franklin Bridge pictures. Within 2 hours of the pictures come on Trek Core. I know we're trying to be a bit more good at new things. I think I would love to do that. I think fans have certainly got invested in us as a community, and our fan base is ravenous for that sort of content. And I think when new stuff comes out, I would very much love to do discussions and bring in the new designers and talk about, very much, oh, this pilot aired on Thursday. That's a weird night. Thursday, let's have a special on Sunday talking with, someone from the design team about the new episode and get proper brand new stuff. Because fundamentally, most people don't work on their Star Trek project full time like I do. And like Stuart does to some extent, with what he works with it. He can do it. It's equivalent of full time, even though it's part time, because he does a lot of good stuff. Anyway, writing and organising things. I think that's something I want to do because fans want to see it, and I want to see it, and it would be fun to do. And Trekyards, I think we've got a great brand. I think people really respect us because we sort of unbiased, positive on everyone, and very truthful. We review. We look at these ships from Stowe's, the good and the bad. Look at JJ ships, the good and the bad, and that's part of the fun. Every single thing has good and bad. Everything. And you've always got to look for the good, and you've always got to look for the bad. Or at least see the bad and point out if it's part of the show format. So I think I'd love to do more new stuff, and depending where the show goes, maybe the Wednesday show will become more mission briefing that episode of Star Trek that week, the new 2017 show. That might be what people want, and we might do that. But I think as long as the Saturday shows continue on ships, that would be the great thing, because that's our core, and that's what people love. 2 questions from John Redkin. Which canon captain would you like to serve under, and which ship would they be commanding at the time? Picard on the D, Kirk on the Connie. I love Harriman and I love Alan Ruck. So I'd love to have one term, one portion assignment on the B would be interesting. I think just the D. I think I've said before, the D in the Galaxy with Picard, sort of, I don't know, probably post Best of Both Worlds, because he's a more complex character, he's a bit darker. But I wouldn't be a commander, presumably, because I'm too young, so I would be lower in the ranks, so I'm sure I'd get to see, Geordie and whatever in 10 forward, but I wouldn't be hanging around with the brass, because I wouldn't be high enough rank. But second question, what ship battle would you like to see? I would love to see NX Refit versus Connie, and I'm sure I could just make that. I'm sure I could have the models for each, but it takes a lot of time. I'd love to see Sovereign versus Prometheus, and we have a great thing about that later on. I'd love to see Prometheus versus Deredex as well. Prometheus versus a lot of the ships from the Dominion, because we saw that as being the pinnacle of Federation battleship tech. Hey, how much could it really go against? That would be something I'd love to see. Samuel McIntosh, you fancy joining the Trekyards fleet and some PvE queues? Might help to dispel rumours in game that I'm you. You're not me. I'm me. I'm wearing the John Crichton. You think the different surname might be a hint? Yes. Well. But seriously, my question: what design, feature, aesthetic do you look for in a good ship, both on screen and in stow? As for stow, I should definitely join in at some point. Kind of difficult to, again, with time, but if we'd like to. And to be like, hey guys, this is Commander Cockings I'm playing, let's do a fleet action. But I think you guys will show me up how bad I am at the game. I'm okay. And the fact that I have, several Admiral level ships doesn't mean I'm bad at playing the game. All the good stuff. So if you show me up, it doesn't look good for the commander. So I might have to make a mission where I'm the head and everyone else is at level 25, and I have an Enterprise F, I have an Odyssey class. None of you are my strength level. That'd be a bit cheating. I don't know. And what design, feature, aesthetic do you look for in a good ship design? Oh, that again, following function. Integrated nacelles are good for certain things. 4 nacelles are good for other things. That is such a good question. I look for continuity. I look for design. We speak to Rick obviously pretty regularly, and it's about having the familiar design cues of Star Trek that's made Star Trek what it is, sort of either from the motion picture with the RCS thrusters and the detailing, or from the D with the phaser strips and the warp engine or impulse engines or warp engines of that style. These are very classic design cues that I don't like stow when they push it too far, because then it looks like any old ship. There's a certain level of feels like Trek. It's when you want to push, if you want to go into the future, go 1.5. Don't go 3.5. Don't go, whatever. Unless you want to go so far ahead that it's a different timeline, in the sense that relativity is 29th century time ship. The style is so different because of that. The J is a 26th century, presumably generational ship, as Doug Drexler has said. Different role, different reason, and therefore different aesthetic. If it's staying close to what we know and love, I want to stay close and familiar, but do something clever. Yes, it's difficult to explain, and I think when we do more ship design contests, it'd be a great thing to do. I think we do more contests, and Michael Wiley keeps asking us to do it. So we will do it at some point, don't worry guys. Probably after Denver. Denver's our big concern right now, our big go for, and I'll get back and probably Mike, because I'll be editing all the videos. There'll be time for everything, guys. Andrew Smith, where do you get all your 3D models? Multitude places. In the olden days, I'll get from Bridge Commander, from the British Commander community, converted to using Lightwave. Nowadays, I have sources to get all this real studio assets because I've always wanted the show to be a documentary show and to use the canon assets, the canon details. You know, you've seen the shows where I can just zoom in and take a shot of that detail. There's no if or buts. You know, that is the canon detail. Even if it wasn't seen in the show, in high def you can zoom in. That is the model. That is the ship that was used. That is the canonical detail. And so that's a lot of fun. But a lot of fans supply models. You know, Barry Chapman is a great model builder in terms of a lot of kit. He's done a lot of kit bashes for us for the faster stuff, which we'll be seeing at some point with the Andor and a few more, a few bits and bobs. So we've got friends that give us models. Michael Wiley, Renegade Battlecrew is a great build. Polaris, when that's finished again, version 3 be a great build. So all over the place. Yeah. Next question from Ronald Robinson. Greetings, Commander. Hey there. Fleet Admiral Robinson here. Fleet Admiral, eh? Fleet Admiral. I feel so outranked here, jeez. Captain Foley, you're also outranked. I have a question, or a few questions. How would you design and upgrade Space Dock? And I was wondering if, given the chance, you would command an Excalibur class starship, not the Constitution or Ambassador class. I am speaking of the Excalibur class dreadnought. And my last, read more, question is, if you were in the TOS TMP era, would you choose to command Constitution, Akula, Okinawa, Miranda, or the prototype Excelsior? Okay, so Space Dock, I would give it weapons. I would possibly extend the top part to the top dome parking garage, give it another level down so you can put smaller ships in. Maybe give the top level for the Sovereigns, the Galaxies, the small level for the Sabres and think Mirandas. That'd be a good upgrade, and possibly more shields. Give it the biggest shield generators known to man. If given the chance, would you command an Excalibur? Yes, I like the Excalibur. It's a great looking, dreadnought, like you say, of the Sovereign. It's that big. I think I've got one on the wall, but it's a bigger Sovereign, and as I've seen it in games, it's huge. A little bit bulking, a little bit cumbersome, but I mean, you always need the big ship designs. Yeah, I would totally command one. I think there's some problem with that. I'd rather have a smaller ship, more intimate crew. Being the captain of a crew of 1,000 is sort of impersonal. But then again, I'm not exactly looking to be the the popularity king of 60 people. And most ships aren't the NX-01 with 80 to 100 crew or whatever it had, that you can know everyone by name. Most ships aren't that way. And besides, I'm bad with names, so I probably forget most people anyway, or some people, not most. That's harsh. I remember most people, just not everyone. And last question is, if you're in the TOS TMP era, would I command a Constitution, a Kula, a Kanawa, Miranda, or prototype Excelsior? I think I would probably. Ooh. The Connie is a really good size ship, and it looks good. A Connie Star Trek 6 is a great design, although having the TNG style engineering is a bit weird. I don't know, I'm tempted to go for Excelsior just because bigger ship, more people, more capabilities, bigger missions, I would assume. But then again, a classic TOS and the 5e mission might be quite cool. I tell you what, I'll take the first refit, the first built from scratch refit on its first 5e mission. There you go. So brand spanking new ship, new tech. Yes, I think that's what I would do. Question from Jam T. Good show once again. Thank you. I'm enjoying the whole Trekyards experience. Good. Glad you are. Hope everyone is. Do you think it's now time for a bigger UK-based Star Trek convention? And if so, should we be starting to prompt the idea? Well, there is the Destination Convention in Birmingham this year, which will be huge. They've got Shatner, they've got loads of major guests, and we're still months and months away. I know Showmasters, the guys that organise it, they have so many conventions pretty much weekly. And as such, they leave certain organisations with big events until a bit close to the date. So I'm very much excited. And now they've announced both the TOS and the TNG bridge are going to be there, which is so exciting for me because I've been on 3 TNG bridges, all of which are incredible. The one in Destination wasn't as amazing, but to stand there and be in this space that you know so well, strange thing to say, but I'd recommend all fans, if you can be on one of these sets and feel part of it, do. It's an incredible experience. So I think that will be an amazing event, and everyone should go to it if you can, and hopefully we'll be there so you can see us, say hi to us, and have a lot of fun. Sad quest: what species would you be, and what species would you marry? That is a very, very difficult question. See, that's a very that is such a question that there's such a breadth of possibilities. But you know what? One thing, I'll say this is my answer, although it's not necessarily my answer if I thought it through fully. Denobulan's Phlox seems to be a happy chap with so much fun. And that Denobulan pilot in Borderlands or Cold Station 30 was pretty cute. So, I mean, Denobulans, I mean, they're a good looking race. And if they're happy and if they're fun, they look like they have a nice thing. And I suppose I suppose you get to marry multiple people, which I'm not sure I'm for. But in terms of how nice the race is, they're probably one of the nicest races. You know, Vulcans, too unemotional. I'm not really. Wouldn't want to be a Tellarite, too argumentative. Andorians, bump the antennas a bit too much. Insectoid, Zinni Insectoid, a bit too aggressive for me. So I think probably, I don't know. Let's go for what do I say, Denobulans. And then last question for this Commander's Log, and I'll be all up to date. So you guys need to ask more questions on this Commander's Log. This massive, big, sponsored by two people, Commander's Log. Thank you very much for Star Trek Riosis Rhaegar, the RPG group, and Wrath of Gems. Again, thank you very much. Please check them both out. But last question is from Ryan Shankland. Hello, this is a question for Samuel. Yes, because that is the Commander's Q&A. I was just on your costume website and noticed you have lots of realistic firearms. I'm wondering how you managed to get around Yukara. Plus, I'm extremely envious around your SG-1 outfit. I was wondering where you got your stuff and how much it will cost. Might be a cool topic for Commander's Q&A in the future to find out any cool, interesting stories behind your outfits. Maybe how or why you got some of them, or things that happened to you while you're wearing them. Well, if you guys like me being in outfits, I have many. Do let me know in the comments below if you want to hear some of those cool stories. I have multiple and see what I have next time. Yes, he's referring to my costume website, which is Power543 Costumes. Go check it out. It's my WordPress site I've had for a few years. I got all my costumes, all my variations of costumes, sort of professionally photographed a few years, I think 2-3 years ago. I multiply, BSG, Doctor Who, Star Trek, Stargate, but check out the website. But the question, how I got around realistic firearms? Well, I was a airsofter for about a year and a half. I did just enough games to get the license. I didn't actually get a license, but I could have. But actually, I was a costumer, and in the UK, if you're a costumer, you're allowed to buy firearms. But it's one of those things that if you sort of know people, and I was part of a group, so I was allowed to. And I got my some second hand from airsofters because I was part of this forum, and again, I airsofted. So it was a thing, but I only got the firearms, like a P90 from Stargate, G36K from Stargate, what's it called? Beretta X8 is the rifle from BSG. Just things that are necessary. And then obviously I have a pulse pistol and a Star Trek phase rifle. Those aren't Yukara based, but yeah, I just was part of a costuming group, and that was a exemption. And my Stargate SG-1 outfit, that I believe the jacket I was wearing was actually the trousers. Well, we have some real Stargate props, and costumes. So we do have a Jonas Quinn complete outfit. I don't believe that was one I was wearing because I fit better into a custom one. But yeah, I mean, I got all of it. The expensive stuff, Black Hawk vest, Black Hawk holster. I believe it was Blue Tiger trading jacket. I can't remember I think Black Hawk boots. Beretta was a gas blow up metal one. I can't believe who made that one. P90 was just Wolf Armories. I can't remember. Yeah, Stargate was a while ago. I've obviously been in Star Trek for a while now. But yeah, thank you very much for the compliments, and hope you like the rest of my costumes. And I think that is it for this Commander's Q&A. New costume. See how my hair changes in between different Commander's Q&A. I hope you guys enjoy this. Very extended version, definitely my longest one so far. It's been a lot of fun just chatting, answering all your multiple questions. If you got your question answered, hope you like my answer. And please ask new questions down below. Ask about Denver. I'll try and get them out before we get to the convention. Ask about my costumes, about my editing life, about my setup, anything you want. I'm here to answer questions. And I'm sure Captain Foley will ask me a few really silly ones as well. So I think that is it for this week's, this month, this episode of Commander's Q and A. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and tune in next time for another episode. But until then, this is Commander Cockings, and I will see you next time on any of our main Trekyards productions. So until then, see you guys later. Bye, guys.